Hello and welcome to the Time Sweets podcast. My name's Connor.
I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Gary, and today we are talking about a movie that excited us all when we saw the previews for it, Dune.
Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 1. I'm going to start out saying I quite enjoyed the movie. Much more than the last movie that I saw him make. I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of his filmography. I've just seen Blade Runner 2049 and so far this. And I know he's made a lot more movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen 2049. I haven't seen anything else.
I've never seen 2049. It was a great job, though. I mean, like
this was a beautiful movie.
Yeah, the look of it was just amazing. I was just maybe a little too bit of there was a lot of lens flare in it.
A lot of Abrams.
Yeah, a little bit. Sometimes the lens flare was a little much.
Yeah. But I guess it was part of the storytelling that you couldn't make the person out behind the light, I guess.
Yeah, during vision sequences, they really lay down much more hard on the different hues and colors, especially with those lens flares. And you'd see him in some of the other places, but it was really in those visions that he nailed it over the head with the
lens flares. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the just the fact that they took their time with this one. The original Dune. I mean, I haven't watched it for a long time. It's been years.
The original theatrical 1984.
Yeah,
Dune.
yeah.
There was a TV version. I don't know what year that one was.
Okay.
I don't know much about that one at all.
But yeah, the 1984 Dune. It just wasn't. I mean, they took their time with the story in the new one rather than just rushing all of it to get the whole book in a movie, like they did in 1984, and it actually does a really good job with the pacing. I mean, the beginning's a little slow, I will say that, but that's just because they have to set up a bunch of stuff and they have to do it naturally so that it's not just ham-fisted into you. That sounded really weird. Let's just ignore that.
Yeah, they do take their time at the beginning, and like you said, it's because they have to. Yeah. They really set up how the play out of the Empire.
Yeah.
Showing all the little different facets. And when I say facets, we're still not even seeing the grand size of the entire Empire and the different houses.
Right.
I think throughout the movie, we really see 3 different houses represented truly under the Emperor. And this isn't including the shadow government. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation a little bit, so I might check it first. The Bene Gesserit? I know I'm mispronouncing it.
I thought there was only 2 houses represented in this.
That the one dudes that were in the white suits.
Yeah.
Duncan Idaho references them, and earlier when the Baron is talking to one of them, they spoke the different language completely. That's a 3rd house that was working with the Harkonnens.
Okay.
Let me check the. I'm gonna look up Dune Shadow Government of Witches, and that should. Dune Shadow Government.
Well, other than the fact that the cinematography was gorgeous throughout the whole movie, something I really enjoyed was the sound design.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Hans Zimmer did a fantastic job with
Bene
his score.
Bene Gesserit.
Gesserit. The Shadow Government of Witches that seems to be primarily women, but Paul Atreides has been taught in their ways, and he understands how to use their power.
The voice.
Space Jesus.
Yeah, and that's what makes him special once he gets to Planet Arrakis. Planet Arrakis is also where you get the name Dune.
Yeah.
Yep. But so the score was great, and then just the sounds that the ships made, the sounds that their armor force field made.
Sounds like a worm made.
Sounds the worm made.
Their sound, their sound in this movie was absolutely remarkable.
It was probably my favorite part about watching this was listening to all the different sounds that they put into it, and it was really impressive to me.
I really enjoyed the little sound that the hunter killer robot made. That little flying drone,
the little hummingbird.
And I really loved the sound of the wings on those dragonfly ships. I don't remember the proper name given to them, but when you say dragonfly ship, everyone's going to know what I'm talking about, at least in this case for this movie. The sound those made, I really enjoyed, especially the one that's different at the end that Paul and Jessica take. That's like just a 2-seater versus like a troop carrier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or a 6-seater. The family van version.
Yeah, I can definitely tell where George Lucas got his inspiration from.
Yeah, from
even
that original book.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of similarities, just like the Emperor.
Like, you don't get to see him. It's
and the shadow government within the government that's controlled by the same person.
That's actually okay. So I misunderstood what was going on there earlier.
Yeah.
That lady in charge of the Bene Gesserit is not the Emperor.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that also would make sense because of the gender grammar of the word Emperor and Empress. Mm-hmm. But she's in charge of the Bene Gesserit, who controls the politics of the houses. So they're their own style of problems. They are the shadow government. She's in charge of the shadow government. That's why the Emperor was cool with killing off House Atreides, but nobody messes with the Bene Gesserit, and that's why Jessica and Paul were able to even get away.
Okay.
Well, they were gonna get ready to get like yoked there.
Yeah.
Like because they thought they found a cheat around killing them. They were gonna feed them to the sandworms.
Yeah, they were just gonna release them into the deserts of Arrakis and let the worms and the nature of the world take care of them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also I think it's kind of funny. I think they use Zendaya as a advertising thing.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. You see her in a lot more, almost every trailer.
But
and
she's
she
only
is throughout
in
the movie.
2% of the film.
And she is an important character. Don't ask me her name right now.
Like
I don't remember.
They didn't fin it. They didn't like fin it, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like Force Awakens it. They didn't do that. They didn't advertise her as like the main character and then throw in Timothée Chalamet. They just used. I think they just was like, ooh, Zendaya in this movie. But
to get that few more extra dollars in.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so I have a list of things that I wrote down as we watch the film.
As always.
So the film opens up and we immediately get Zendaya talking about what happened on Arrakis. Is that the word?
Arrakis.
A-R-A.
Well, she's talking about like I call them the Dave Batista people.
The Harkonnens.
The Harkonnens, because like how
Harkonnens? I'll look it up.
They came.
The hominins.
They came to her planet to farm the spice, and spice is basically
the lifeblood
of the universe as we know it. Like,
but it's also a hallucinogen.
Harkonnen. Yeah, sorry.
And that's also the spice is also why Zendaya's people. What are the names? What?
The Fremen.
The Fremen. That's also why the Fremen's eyes are blue, because they spend most of their time in the desert, like absorbing the spice, basically. And then it cuts immediately to Paul waking up in bed with his light ball, which I wrote down light ball because
I want one.
I want one. It's this disc thing that's like a light. It's just they're basically levitating lamps.
So
and it follows you.
Think of a HomePod or like a
Amazon Echo.
Amazon Echo, like a big Amazon Echo, on its side
that lights up.
But it's all light.
Like a really
floating.
big Amazon Echo.
And it's floating. That's what we're talking about. It's dope.
And then we see him and his mom at the dinner table, and she's trying to make him use the voice.
Yeah, the voice.
Yeah, if the voice is, spoiler alert, the voice is like an ability that he and his mother possess through the what's their
Bene Gesserit.
John Benet Ramsey. Bene Gesserit. I'll edit that out.
Child murders.
God. But, hey, they did that in this movie.
True.
The Bene Gesserit, they can basically control people if they find a certain pitch in their voice. And
yeah, it has to be just right.
Yeah, it has to be exact, or you can't get total control over them.
I think it's about like tone.
Yeah.
Like I think pitch was used to be like it has to be like this and directed at them.
Yeah.
For it to work.
Yeah.
Like you can tell that it was doing something, and it did something when he tried it, and it did the voice thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he didn't say it with the proper like in himself to get it out the way
she
it
said
needed.
Later on in the film, she says your pitch was too commanding.
Yeah.
Like
too forced.
Too forced. Yeah. So like you like it has to be perfect. Like I thought of like the Force when they were talking about.
I thought about.
Jedi mind trick.
Oh,
Jedi mind
yeah.
tricks,
I thought about parcel tongue from
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I mean, they said normal words, but like it had the really cool effect on it that like it would have a low frequency bass and also a high frequency sound to go along
Basically,
with it.
they took all the mids out of talking.
Yeah. Well, so
Silence.
the Emperor has like people sent down to the house of
Atreides.
House Atreides.
And the Emperor is like, hey, you have to go back to the planet with the spice because I say so, and we need spice to be harvested, or else we're all screwed.
Which part are we talking about right now?
Whenever
when
he
is
summons
signing
House
the-
Atreides
when
to
he-
do
Okay,
the
He's
thing.
signing
Okay.
the treaty, and by signing the treaty, he just does his
Signet ring.
Yeah, his print ring, which I think that's a really cool way to sign things. So
I mean, that's how it was done for a long time.
Yeah.
A shame we got rid of that.
and then we come to find. So long story short, we meet Jason Momoa in this time, like his character.
Yeah, by this point he's
Um,
introduced. Duncan, Idaho.
Yep, and then so he gets sent on a scout mission to
Arrakis.
and then that's when they say it's okay, the royal family can come. And then the royal family shows up, and then a whole bunch of things happen, and then they find out that the bad people like sabotaged
The Harkonnens sabotaged the everything.
everything on that planet just to make their ability to harvest spice as hard as possible.
Dude, it
Yeah.
would be dope if like the president had like a signet ring that you just. That'd be dope. Why don't we do that anymore?
I think we just stopped doing that as like a formality because like during the medieval period it was much easier to do that because a lot of people were like illiterate. In this case, he's not illiterate, and most kings weren't entirely illiterate. It's just easier.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
Well, and
So in
so
this case, we should just start bringing it back.
right. Well, and then so I had in the first half of the movie, all I heard was Thanos.
Yeah,
It was kinda
anytime
like-
he talks.
It's kind of like it was kind of hard
Yeah.
to focus because I'm like, dude, you're just Thanos, bro.
The only time I can listen to Josh Brolin now without him sounding like Thanos is when I'm watching Goonies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't even think about that.
Thanos
That's the only
is
movie
in
I can
Goonies.
think of. Oh, it's not that. That's the only movie that I can now think of that I don't hear him as Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
I was waiting for him to be like perfectly balanced as all things should be. Well, and him and
No,
Paul have this pretty
Deadpool
cool
2.
brawl.
Deadpool
Yeah.
2.
Even then, he still kind of sounds
Yeah.
Yeah.
old Josh Brolin.
Okay, anyway, back to what you were saying.
They have this cool Josh Brolin and Paul Timothy Chalamet have this cool brawl, and then we get introduced like to the force field armor.
Paul has a brawl.
Yeah.
And that stuff is awesome. Like, it's just like so innovative, and like only a slow blade.
Things with low kinetic energy can get through.
Yeah, which I think that's like a really cool concept. And then
I was gonna say Frank Herbert knew what he was talking about.
right.
He was out there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But it comes from the heart.
Right.
He may be the best ADHD icon out there.
Well, and so for some reason we're tens of thousands of years in the future.
Yes, the year is 10,191.
Yeah, we're
and
still
for
using
some
swords.
reason,
There's a reason for that.
for some reason,
I can explain.
and we're not even on Earth, but for some reason, bulls are still relevant. Bulls, like the animal.
Oh, bulls.
Bulls.
I thought you were saying bowls.
Well,
I thought you were
there's
saying
no
balls.
difference in the words you were just saying.
Bowl. Like
Bowl.
bowl. Like
Bull and bulls.
soup bowl.
Bull and bulls.
Skull.
It's the same thing.
School.
Swimming pool.
Anyway, they're still relevant. The animal is still relevant. Like his grandfather fought bulls for
Just fun.
sport.
I think that's symbolism that I don't really want to spend the mind power getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention that I think it also harkens back to so much of human history really does center around the bull. Because the way the book is written, Frank Herbert wrote it. It's like a future history textbook.
Mm-hmm.
So like imagine we're even further in the future and we're reading about what happened.
Oh yeah.
So I believe the bulls are supposed to kind of replicate that. Because if you look back on a lot of ancient cultures, that like even early areas of like Greek areas, early Middle Eastern settlements, they worship bulls. There was even an offshoot of like during the Exodus period, some of the Jews that were just like, you know what, I don't feel like walking all the way back to the Holy Land during that 40-year period. They were like, I'm gonna go worship the god Baal, who is a bull.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. I think it's supposed to come back to that, but I can't say that for sure.
Okay. But like there's like a big bullhead that we see throughout the
Yeah.
film multiple times. Like it's like kind of like they're wanting you to see it. So
I think that's where it's supposed to nail it into the head, or you get what I'm trying to say, that like they are the
Hit
bull.
the nail on the head.
Thank you. I think they're trying to say that Atreides is the bull and they're now killed and on display.
Right.
Or they're also trying to say that they have now taken on the bull and Paul knows how to get around it. I'm scraping the barrel because I don't want to go that in the depth of it off the top of my head, so I'm just kind of just spewing words out with academic intent.
And so we meet that lady who is the leader of the shadow government.
Yeah.
And she like tortures Paul with this box.
The box.
And I wrote, "What's in the box?" Like
I was gonna say that might be the most famous thing besides the word spice that you will find replicated in pop culture.
The box.
Put your hand inside. What happens? Pain. Like even in Gravity Falls with the Manitors,
yeah,
there was the pain hole.
The pain hole.
And I'd argue that when Luke goes into the cave on Dagobah, he's just like, well, what's in there? And Yoda's like, only what you take with you. Crap like that.
Right. It's funny,
I think it's a replication.
I mean, it's like weird. Like, what's in the box, Wyatt?
Oh,
what's in the box?
What's in the
Pain.
box?
Pain.
I think it's actually
Pain.
a mental thing because they're psychic witches.
Mm.
You know.
Well, she has like this
Sci-fi.
thing to his throat as well.
Yeah,
during this.
if he pulls out his hand, she's just gonna right in the
You're
neck.
dead. You're dead, dude.
That's it. House Atreides over.
You're gone, dude. And also we see
You're knocked.
that bagpipes.
What was that one?
We see that bagpipes are still relevant, and
Yeah.
Sweet old bagpipes.
like bagpipes are, like we only see one person actually play bagpipes, but
We hear
the
a lot.
score returns to them a lot, like throughout the rest of the movie.
I love the bagpipes.
I think it was really cool to listen to.
I think that was a good choice for Hans Zimmer to include that in there.
Mm-hmm.
Because he talked about when making the score for the film, he wanted something that's very ancient sounding, very biblical sounding.
Well, see, we get a lot of that, like, kind of, like, I associate a lot of the sound, like, music-wise, like, Egyptian almost.
That's what he was aiming for.
Right.
That Old Testament kind of Egyptian vibe. And bagpipes, it's not thought about a lot, but that's one of the oldest instruments ever.
Right.
The Egyptians played the bagpipes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's wonderful that he included that in there. That was even included in the film. It might be in the book. I'm not sure. I haven't actually read the book.
But you're the only one here that has any book knowledge.
Yes. I've taken a lot of cliff notes because it really interests me. I just need to buy a copy.
And then fast forwarding, what?
Christmas is coming.
Christmas.
Shut up.
Fast forward a little bit, we get introduced to the Skarzard in this film.
Yeah, Stellan Skarsgård, the Baron.
The Baron.
I miscalled him while watching the movie and called him the Duke by accident.
The Duke was his
Duke Atreides was
Paul's
father.
Yeah, Paul's dad.
The Duke.
The Duke
Of House Atreides.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Baron is
the Duke,
the Baron.
like the Baron, like
the Baron of the We'll just call him the Baron.
He's in the same position as the Duke.
Yeah, equal
but
level.
For a different house and a different title.
And he flies.
Yeah. All I have written down is
walk.
all I have written down is fat dude flies.
Fat man fly.
That fat suit on him made it's something about it made me really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Apparently made a lot of people uncomfortable, and on set he really liked doing the nude scenes with it.
That's so weird.
And he wanted to do more, and everybody was like, "We don't need
more."
He's like, "I want to do it." It's like, Stellan, you need to calm down.
God, it always takes a Skarsgård to take on the weird roles.
Truthfully,
If they want to put in the effort,
God
dude,
damn.
they're going for it. I think they're good at it.
Yeah, they are good at
They're
it.
good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking Pennywise.
And during the time that we get introduced to this character, Dave Batista's character is just yelling at him, being like, "Hey, why are we giving up the spice? Why are we giving up the riches?" And he's like, "This is all part of the plan, my guy."
Yeah.
he's like
Dave Batista and his Tommy Pickles looking.
He looked like
baldness.
when the guy came up out of the water in that one scene, and like Dave Batista was kind of standing there with his mouth hanging open. He kind of looked like the Gerber baby.
Yes. And we're not trying to rag on Dave Batista. It's like how pale he was.
Yeah.
The makeup.
Yes.
Yeah. He looked like a very, like if they took Dave Batista and put a baby filter on him.
Right.
And the filter didn't quite work, so it's like it's a baby-esque Dave Batista. But it'll murder you.
We love Dave Batista.
Well, and so then we get introduced to the one of the higher ups of Zendaya's culture. I forget it.
Fremen.
The Fremen. We meet one of the higher ups because the Duke wants to have a meeting with him.
Yeah. He wants to talk and actually work with the Fremen on the planet.
Yeah.
Unlike the
Harkonnens who just want to wipe them out.
Right. And we also learned that their numbers are way larger,
way greater
than
what the Harkonnens
thought. They thought like 50 to 60,000, I think,
and
on the whole planet. And then we find out there's
the Atreides figured out that it's like there's millions.
There's millions of these people
that you can't get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
This is their planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Who also they themselves are, they came there.
Right. And also spit is a good thing.
Yes.
So like the leader or one of the higher ups like spits, and they think it being like normal people, like they thought it was like a sign of disrespect. But no, it's like a formal greeting, like
sharing your moisture.
Right. You are blessed with my body's moisture.
I was gonna say I need this to survive, and here I am giving it to you.
Without context, it sounds really bad. You're blessed with my body's moisture.
You're blessed with my moisture.
Yes. My moisture's cleansing.
So everyone does their spitting thing, and then that's when we find out like their numbers are way greater than we thought. And then he looks at Paul and goes, "I know you," or "You look. I recognize you."
So yeah, the blue eyes is also kind of a symptom of you might be exposed to space visions and a little bit of I can see things.
I can smell you.
So it's kind of a thing that the Fremen, I believe, are a little. How do you want to say
psychic?
There we go. That's the word.
You need to fix your mic.
Which part?
The mic itself. There you go.
Is that better?
Yep.
All right.
I can smell you.
So as I understand it, and I could understand it wrong, that the Fremen do have a little bit, like, if their eyes are blue, psychedelic it do.
Okay.
Ah.
But why does Paul have visions then?
Part of that is
he's on the
B'nai
right track.
Gesserit, and part of that is, hold on, I had the word up. It's their word for Messiah. Frank Herbert was really into, like Tolkien in a way, making words.
Right.
So what did they call Paul? Yusal Mahad? The Messiah. We'll just say the Messiah.
Okay. Sounds good.
So you're saying he's in the God imagery?
Yeah, he is a
You know who else?
Biblical figure.
You know who else is into God imagery?
Yeah, go on. Yeah. Say it.
Zack Snyder.
And you know what we had in this movie? A competent director that understood how to use cinematography and audio.
But they both like lens flares.
Yeah, they do like their lens flares. And Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
I had to. I'm sorry.
Same studio.
And after this meeting, the Duke wants to see the harvesting, like how they harvest the spice.
Yeah, he wanted to see it firsthand.
Yeah, and we get a pretty intense. It's the first time we see a sandworm.
Yeah.
In the movie, and this was a massive one, like the biggest one we saw in the movie.
They said that it was a big one.
Mm-hmm. They're like, if you be patient. So the harvester is like this massive machine, and it always attracts the sandworm because sandworms are literally attracted to anything that's not normal desert,
like a rhythmic
sound.
type.
Right.
Yeah, if it makes any kind of specific rhythm,
Right.
the sandworm will come for it.
Mm-hmm. And I keep forgetting their name, the people who are
on the planet.
Fremen. The
Fremen
have this special walk that they do so they could walk through the desert safely without attracting sandworms.
The sand walk.
The sand walk. And we actually see it a few times. We see Paul actually watching it, and that's how we learn this as well. And then they do it later in the movie. But so long story short, it's kind of like you knew something was gonna go wrong with this harvester thing.
Yeah, they needed an evacuation.
Mm-hmm.
They were gonna pull it up and take the spice that they harvested and fly it back. But one of the anchors that attaches to the actual harvester itself wasn't working. The Duke Atreides blames it on the Harkonnens.
Yeah.
And all hell breaks loose.
Yes. But I wrote down Oscar Isaac has to be a badass pilot in every movie he's in.
Damn.
Yeah.
Because
right.
we see him fly the dragonfly ships
if Moon Knight can fly a plane,
he does have a plane.
He has a plane.
Moon Knight has a plane?
The moon jet.
Oh my god.
And it's like shaped like a crescent moon.
Yep. Oh.
That's why
he was casted as Moon Knight.
Not for his skills in action.
Wait, is Oscar Isaac in the new Top Gun?
I hope his career's better than that.
Yeah.
And then I wrote down Spaceworms are massive.
Yeah.
We kind of get some backstory on them as Paul is walking through the halls of the temple that they're staying in.
Yeah.
On Arrakis. And they say they get like I forget how big they said they could get.
40. It was meters too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was big.
Mm-hmm.
Really,
they were
really big.
Big boy.
This one we saw, like this machine that was harvesting the spice was massive, like the Jawa sized. What is that thing that the Jawas use?
Sandcrawler.
The sandcrawler. It was like sandcrawler size, maybe bigger.
I'd say maybe bigger.
Yeah, maybe like too wide.
We see him next to it,
right?
Or at least the treads. So the treads are about the same size.
Right.
So we'll say about two.
It was definitely
1.5
wider.
sandcrawlers wide.
Yeah, it was definitely wider. I don't know if it had the height though.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not really important. Just trying to give you guys
it's
something
a good reference to size.
To reference the size to. And this sandworm just swallows it like you're taking a pill, man.
Like nothing.
And so sandworms have this special power that they also have a piece of technology that can mimic this power, that they can just vibrate and make the sand liquid. Like,
yeah, it vibrates the sand just at the right frequency that it's no longer.
Oh, you're looking up the term?
There's a term for it because there's been people who made like a hot tub version of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can float on it. Which makes me question, could they have floated on it if they relaxed their bodies? Is that the secret to getting away from the... Oh, fear is the mind killer. Anyway.
Fear is the mind killer.
Oh yeah!
If you relax, you can float away from
Holy shit.
Fluidization is literally what it's called.
I don't remember if that's...
It occurs when you place a constant flow of air underneath the fine powder or granulated material. So, like...
Basically, anything that's, like, small and in large quantity.
Right. And you can make it, like, liquid. And that's what happens. Like, and then...
So you can fluidize cocaine.
What did they call...
Yes.
What did they call that machine that kind of did this as well?
Oh.
It was like a sand
compactor.
Sand compactor.
Yes. And that...
You said that so in sync.
It's because we're in sync right now.
You should hear us when we harmonize.
I want it that way. Wait, no, that's
also, I wrote down
Boys. Never mind.
the weapons, like with an exclamation point.
Which ones do you want to start with? Like that cool laser cannon that the Fremen had, or the rockets that the Harkonnens had, or the swords?
They had the people had like this Death Star thing that they used to cut through the door, like a lightsaber almost.
Yeah.
But it was in like a cannon gun form. And then all the blades in this movie were like gorgeous. Like I would just like to have one of each for like a collection, you know. And then I forgot their name again, Wyatt.
Fremen?
The Fremen had blades made out of the teeth of the sandworms.
Yeah.
That's at least what I understood from that.
That's what I took away, yeah.
How the hell did they get those?
Well,
if they're anything like sharks, they have no shortage of teeth.
I'm not afraid to say stuff about Dune, other than the fact that I might not understand it, but it's also a book that's old. This is like if I said that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker and Luke Skywalker's dad. So if someone gets upset, It is what it is. But like the Fremen are able to ride them.
Yeah. Worm riders. I have an exclamation point. Like so they kind of teased this when what's her name was trying to escape with Paul and his mom.
Yeah, they're at the end of the movie.
She pulled out these hooks, and I look over at Wyatt, and I'm like, is she gonna surf the worm?
Oh, her.
Yeah.
I don't remember her name. She gets just
and then she gets stabbed, and then she drives. So they have this little pill-shaped thing with a spike in the end, and it makes like a knocking sound to drive the sandworm there.
A thumper.
And then they have these hooks that they hook into the backs of the sandworms, and then they surf them to victory.
They ride them right through the desert, just like the pioneers used to.
Yep, exactly.
Hell yeah.
It's just like as easy as SpongeBob drove that rock.
And I just realized I can't shake my head because nobody can see that. So, yeah, let me just start shaking my head so hard you hear it rattle. But
that's everything I wrote down, so it's all on you guys now.
Ready? Y'all ready?
I'm ready.
Ready?
All right, so I think they get the teeth from the actual worms because they're able to just kind of work with them.
Right.
But if you look at Dune,
let me, like you said, because they could work with them, they actually said at the beginning of the movie that they share the desert with the sandworms. So, like, there has to be a closer relationship in between the two that we're going to learn about.
What I was about to get
to.
Do you want me to say it?
No, not yet.
Not yet? No. Okay, you want me to just hold off until part 2? Or?
No, just say it now.
Okay. Because, so in the book, I even saw a meme recently that, like, it kind of explains it well enough. That it starts out with people being like, oh, it's about spice. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's about the economic settings of spice and what it means and how such and such. And then it was like, spice is the source of this, and you can use it for political, social gain and getting rid of the people that you don't want and so on. And then the final was like the big brain. It's about worms.
It's about worms.
It's
all about the worms.
In the end, that's what makes Paul even more special.
It's because
he can talk to the worms.
And we got to see that a little bit.
Yeah, that's in the book at that point, if I'm not mistaken. That's where it's hinted at that he is special. They're like, oh, my thumper is what saved him.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone is starting to think that, like, no? Us, the reader.
Right.
Or the viewer in this case. And it was like, no. This small boy is special.
This small boy
Jesus.
talked to a gyrating worm.
Gyrating.
That's what I wrote down. Because, like,
gyrating
the way the
worm.
worm was, like, talking, it was just, like...
kind of does a thing.
It was like...
Like the worms in Adventure Time and just go... Stay tuned for the next episode where it's 30 minutes unedited of us making that noise. But yeah, so that's what makes him special. That's why he's the Messiah. That's also what helps lead them to victory and take back Arrakis for the needs that they need. And then he leads House Atreides, the Messiah. All that good stuff. So that comes down to that. I feel like I should explain why the ships are the way they are. Why everything looks extremely analog, why everything's really feudal system looking.
Like, we still use swords, but
that's actually a good question.
The ships,
I think that's just stylistic.
The ships have, like, guns on them.
Yes.
But, like, we as, like, not we, but, like,
and
the
I
people
think,
don't.
And you see some of the people do
Paul
have some
had
guns.
a gun.
Paul had a gun, too.
He took it off of one of the Fremen.
Oh.
And you do see other people that do have guns as well. Like, even at the beginning, the Fremen also had a giant laser cannon. And you see that some of those guys, some of the Harkonnen also had guns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I think that comes down to just Frank Herbert's choice.
Right.
There's much more dramatics. Like, that scene where they're at the end of the movie where he's fighting that Fremen dude to be like, hey, I belong here. The first time that Paul kills a man.
Yeah.
And I think that's supposed to be a big deal because of, like, it's more dramatic to see these watching people fight with swords. And you even see people with...
It's always more intense.
Yeah.
Like, well, and see, that's kind of like why, that's like a part in, like, Black Panther, the movie. Like...
The fighting for the right of the throne.
Right. They either strip them for the right of strip them of the powers of Black Panther, and they fight with old weaponry. So...
Good old classic melee.
Good old classic melee. Just like Super Smash Brothers.
So I think that's why they use swords, but there's also a big thing. If you notice that all their ships are extremely analog.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like some helicopter from Vietnam.
On the inside, yeah.
Yeah. And that's because, if I remember correctly, in this world there was a war between man and machine, robots, computers. They tried to kill man, but man won. So man made it illegal to make computers
like artificial
and robots.
Intelligence.
Yes.
But what about those guys who are fancy and, like, are super smart?
They're human computers.
They're human computers. Their brains, they work not on math function, but by probability. I remember this because it was in a YouTube clip, and somebody used it to explain this, and it's relatively good if people have seen it, but it's also provides. Imagine a river, and I'm stealing this from the video I saw, which was about Steven Universe, and they used this example to explain this. Imagine a river of probability. It's going to split in certain ways, but you can also tell which one's going to be more probable because of how big the stream is. So that's kind of how these some of these guys function. Some of them, they can, like, Dr. I don't remember what the doctor's name was.
The Diamond Head.
Yeah. In the movie, he has a diamond to mark him. Once again, I'm not sure if that's in the book.
Right.
But, like, all the human computer people, like I'm talking about with, like, the probability and stuff.
Well,
like
and they can
David
read
Dasmalchian's character.
They could read vitals. Like, they
Yeah,
can read his vitals.
That's what I was going to say. There's different I'm going to call them super people. Different super people for different things.
Right.
And part of that is, I believe, the use of spice and genetic engineering.
The first guy we saw with these powers, like, he was really quick with, like, the math questions.
Yeah.
The probability.
Mm-hmm. And then Baba Yaga Man, I forget his real name.
Dasmalchian.
Yes, like
he was the kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But much more of the sadistic groupings.
Mm-hmm. Baba Yaga, he died sadly.
Yeah, poisoned
because
the doctor gave the Duke a special tooth.
The doctor's wife was captured.
Yeah, taken by the Harkonnens.
By fat flying guy.
The Baron.
I like calling him flying fat guy.
It's like teleporting.
It is
fat
much
guy.
more fun to say.
It's like teleporting fat guy, but flying.
And
Teleporting.
he convinced the doctor to basically like
take down
the
House
Duke.
Atreides.
Like he started all this.
He took down the shields. He did everything. He left the house unlocked.
And when the doctor confronts the fat flying man, he goes, "You said if I did this, you'd set my wife free." And he's like, "Oh, I did set her free, and you could join her." And he slits his throat because he set her free technically. Like
set her free from Arrakis.
Set her free from life.
And so that's how the doctor meets his little end.
Right. And so but those super people, so that's crazy.
But yeah, they're specially engineered to do that kind of thing.
Right.
And there's more of them, all because you can't have computers and artificial intelligence anymore. All those ships work by an analog system of just sheer power, essentially.
Right.
And that's also why spice is so important, because it just makes it work.
Yeah, because there's no such thing as
emphasis on fiction in the science fiction in this case.
Right. Because there wasn't even really any autopilot used.
You do see it once.
Once, but still.
And I think it was just to maintain level and speed, which I guess, in terms of flying, that's almost the same thing.
They also have their own little sign language that they do with their hands.
I like that. I
thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's a detail I like.
And it only seemed like him and his mom knew what it meant.
That might be a Bene Gesserit thing.
The soldier knew what she was saying.
Oh, that's true.
When she got given
so maybe it's just an Atreides thing.
Maybe, but it's very subtle movements to say full sentences. But I don't know if that's just a movie thing.
I'm sure it's in the story, but I have more questions about
I hope to see them use that more because that's a really cool way.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to, because that seems like it's really useful for a world that you can,
right,
communicate telepathically and tell people to do your bidding.
Right.
Oh, I have a copy of Dune. My dad had it. I was just thinking about I'm gonna get a copy of this book and read it, and then I was just like, wait, my dad has a copy.
Dude, if you guys want science fiction books, I have got suggestions out the butt for you. I was gonna say
we're PG-13. You can say ass.
That's not my point. But I have got so many suggestions if you guys wanted sci-fi books to read.
Okay.
Audience too. If you want to find me on Instagram. Instagram the Time Sweeps. Email us. I will give you suggestions for science fiction books that I have enjoyed reading and that I plan to read as well.
Yeah.
In terms of reading, I'm a huge fan of science fiction.
It's the most fun genre to read.
Yeah.
Personally, I think so.
Except for maybe
fantasy's fun. And
right.
Except if it's Twilight.
Yeah, that's not my cup of tea.
It was a lot of people's cup of tea.
If vampires sparkle,
apparently
they are not vampires.
Apparently the movies really didn't do that series justice.
If vampires sparkle, they are not vampires.
If they die in the sun, they're not vampires.
If they don't die in the sun, you mean?
That's what I said. If they don't die, they're not supposed to die in the sun, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
They're not?
That was a fad started by Nosferatu.
Yeah. Oh. Nosferatu started that in 1922. I looked that up. I included it in the comments on the last video. Give us a look at the Halloween special.
No,
special.
In Twilight, they don't die. They just sparkle.
Right, but that's also not supposed to happen.
I know. It's bullshit.
Dracula walks around
and
in
if
the
Robert
day.
Pattinson, if you're listening, if you sparkle in Batman, I'm leaving.
I don't think... we'll blame Matt Reeves.
Wyatt.
Matt Reeves, if he sparkles, I'm leaving.
Yes, sir.
No, Wyatt is not going to handle this movie. Wyatt is not going to accept that this Batman movie is bad because he's already in love with this movie.
Yeah, if it's bad, I might just cry.
Just sue
seriously,
Warner Brothers.
Whenever we saw the first trailer,
I cried.
He legitimately cried in my basement. It was funny.
When you put it in like that, it sounds weirder.
But anyway,
yeah,
back to Dune.
It's all Warner Brothers, baby.
It's all Warner Brothers, baby.
Baby.
Anything we're missing? Anything cool that you thought that you
really?
we could.
Other than I love the visual of this movie, the costuming, everything about it. I did truly love, and I'm gonna reference one of his other movies like I did earlier. And I've seen shots from his other movies, but Blade Runner 2049 is the one I've seen.
Right.
That movie doesn't do quite justice if you haven't seen the original Blade Runner. Because there's a lot that's like kind of like, oh, I get this, and it's kind of cool, but I think that movie also is missing a huge portion of the original Blade Runner. Not the point right now.
Right.
You see all this imagery that he does, and it's absolutely wonderful. These shots, the way he does it, the costumes are wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Those suits
movie,
that they wore, the
still suits or the armor?
The still suits. Like, I thought those were really cool. Like, just the design.
Yeah.
And I want to know how they work, though. Like, more.
They take your bodily fluids.
Yeah, once again,
recycle it and make it water.
Yeah. Once again, this is where the fiction comes in the science fiction. They explain it a little, but not enough. Just enough to the point where it's like, that's feasible.
Mm-hmm.
And in reference to a lot of the things that we've talked about or that are in Dune, this is actually one of the ones that's pretty, it would work-ish possibly one day.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes all the things that like sweat, pee, waste, any physical moisture, and finds a way to recycle it and put it back into your body so you can survive.
In a desert, because there's no...
Kind of like how you see that mouse earlier in the movie, kind of like
use
take
the water.
The sweat from its ear and put it into its mouth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that shot was also supposed to show you how the tent kind of works. That's why it goes from the ear to the tent, or vice versa.
My question is, like, you know how, like, our world is, right? Earth. There's deserts, there's mountains, there's snowy places, there's tropics.
Yes.
Out the ass. Why do movies insist on making there just, like, one climate per world?
In this case, that's just the way Dune is, and we colonized it. And that's actually, he got his inspiration from terraforming the dunes areas in Oregon.
Okay.
Because he was surveying land at that time, because that was the job he had at that point. This is when he had the idea for Dune, and it took him years to write it.
As it would. Like,
yeah, Frank Herbert had many jobs.
You're creating a world, like a universe,
and
really.
If you look into it, you can see where he got all the little inspirations of all the things that he puts into it, and it's remarkable. And he saw how we were planting these plants to keep the sand together, and he was like, what if we did this to an entire planet?
Right. Well, see, that's where, like, and that's probably another thing that inspired George Lucas with, like, Tatooine.
Oh yeah.
Like, I get
Hoth,
like a snowy planet. That makes sense.
The
because,
forest moon
like,
of Endor.
Even a desert planet does make sense to an extent.
They had two suns.
Because I'm not about to call. Yeah, Tatooine did.
There is Mars. I will say that.
A lot of planets that you see are mostly one system. There's still polar caps, usually, oftentimes. Like Mars has polar caps. There is an ice cap.
Yeah.
But Mercury, it doesn't have an ice cap because it's too hot. And it's mostly one climate of just kind of sometimes molting, sometimes not.
Well, yeah, because it's right next to the damn sun.
Right. That's what I was about to get to.
What about Venus?
Also about the same.
Volcanoes.
Yeah, and there's just a bunch of gas, right? So
Its crust is constantly shedding and recreating itself. Constantly is also much longer than our lifespan. So
Yeah.
But Earth is in a special place where it can be these different things.
Okay.
So to have a planet with multiple different climates is relatively special in the face of it has to be the right place between gas and, like...
Well, see, that kind of looked... their planet that they came from before they went to Icarus...
Yeah,
was
Arrakis. Jesus Christ,
that planet started with a
with
C
names.
at the beginning of the film. I don't remember the name of that one. Started with a C, though.
I can't remember.
But yeah, it had multiple different...
Right.
It was like
or
the
it
whole,
appeared to have...
Yeah, what we see of it looks a lot like Scotland.
Mm-hmm. Which probably where they filmed.
I'd believe it. It's
Scotland or New Zealand in the winter.
True. Or even Ireland,
because that's where they filmed Lord of the Rings.
Right.
And it really... That's what it takes to have those different temperate zones, to have that kind of plant life, that different kinds of growth.
You're in the sweet spot.
The Goldilocks
Earth
zone.
is, yeah.
Yeah.
I could cover it much more in depth, but I need my geology notes.
All right, pause. How are we doing on time?
We have 10 minutes left.
Okay. All right. And go.
That's really what I have to, like, about Dune itself, I have to say, besides just admiring Frank Herbert. and admiring Dennis Villeneuve's work on this movie.
Yeah.
Well, and everyone that I talked to,
even the actors did wonderful jobs in this movie.
Beautiful acting. A lot of people that I talked to about the movie before watching it was like, it's so boring.
Yeah, I didn't think it was
boring
at all.
It wasn't boring.
I was on the edge
Even
of my seat.
Even when like Connor said the beginning was slow, I was still
I
had
was
my
still
attention.
riveted personally. Then again, I'm into this kind of crap personally.
Right. Well, see, like I was talking to Webb, and he said it was really boring, like really like slow and boring in the beginning, but like not the average movie viewer. Like I consider us like above average movie watchers.
Yeah,
because we look for everything when we watch a movie. Like we're looking for every detail.
That's where I enjoy movies.
Right, exactly. And
the
average
moviegoer,
the average moviegoer isn't like us. You know.
I was gonna say, that's why you will constantly find me rewatching The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, my mom. So like the other day, I wanted to play The Walking Dead, and my mom was like, "You want to watch Monster House?" I was like, I want to play The Walking Dead. She's like, fine, but you have to watch a Hallmark movie with me, and you can't make fun of it. I was like, damn, okay, you got yourself a deal.
I would have been like, yeah, let's just watch Monster House.
Just watch Monster House.
Well, like, I wanted to watch Monster House, but I also like the new DLC for Walking Dead came out, and I wanted to play it. And it's
Hallmark
fun.
movie.
I've watched one before. I can watch one again.
There's actors I like, and they're going into them, like Bruce Campbell. What's her nuts that plays Bo-Katan?
Bo-Katan's in a Hallmark movie?
Yeah. I think they're in filming or just got to post-production. I think Bruce Campbell just started filming. It's like,
no,
what is the world
Bruce.
coming to?
Bruce, my boy. Wow.
Mr. Campbell, please, if you hear this.
Ash. Okay, back to Dune. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dune. But yeah, that's really what I have to just say about the movie.
Oh, and another thing that I've heard, and it's true, that this book, I mean, this movie has barely gotten into the book.
Yeah.
And, like, you can kind of tell that.
There's a good
watching
chunk,
this.
I'd personally say, into it, but there's still a lot.
Like, probably, like, a eighth of the way, maybe.
I just remembered something else. Because I found it really funny. I don't know if you guys found as funny as I did. Have you ever seen, like, the Hunter S. Thompson stuff? Where he's just like, we can't stop here. This is Bat Country.
Yeah.
This is Wormland.
This is Wormland.
I can't hear that. Like, in any other context, it is super funny.
Yeah.
And that's all I was thinking this morning. That's what makes it even better. So, at campus, on the sidewalks, the dirt's raised just a little, so that way the water trickles onto the sidewalk, and there's worms everywhere.
Right.
And in my head, that's all I could hear was Hunter S. Thompson's voice. Can't stop here. This is worm country. And to hear that in Dune, basically, just, wait, this isn't safe. This is worm territory. I was like, oh my god. Hunter S. Thompson for the win.
Well, and there was a moment in the movie that really caught me off guard and kind of made me giggle. It was when that maid, was she a maid, gave Paul's mom the blade.
Oh, yeah.
And she just starts, like, I think,
screaming.
Like, screaming, like a chant, maybe? I don't know. She's like,
oh!
it kind of caught me off guard, though. Like,
I was just like, are you okay, ma'am?
Like, I'm curious if I missed a line afterwards that explained what that was, but the scream was very
like, just boom,
interesting
like,
to the context that I took away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, sorry, I'm excited. The Messiah might be here.
Right.
Excuse my screaming.
It's like that one.
It's like if I went to go see a Star Wars movie. And
It's
I
like
was just
that one, like History Channel documentary where it's like he's talking about, it's like the dude's going, oh,
and he moaned at least this loud.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like that mouse video where they start howling at the moon.
Clothing.
That's all. That's actually what I thought of immediately. Is she just starts screaming?
That's kind of what I thought. She's a wolf in mouse clothing.
This
is in the distance.
That's really what I have to. Yeah, that was my last thought. Was Worm Country.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's all the time we have for this week's episode.
Yeah, I think that's it.
The secret word for this movie review is Worm Country.
And stay tuned for next episode where we talk about something that we haven't decided on yet. So
you don't know that yet. to you. We've already decided your fate.
By the time you listen to this, hopefully we have a topic ready. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Please make sure to leave a like on the video if you haven't already. And anything else, boys?
That should be it.
Subscribe, please. We need better analytics.
All right.
Support the algorithm.
Bye.
Bye-bye.